Hello and welcome. I'm so excited to be back with you today, part of the Womb Awakening video series. Today I'm going to be talking about key number 2 in embodying an awakened womb. I'm going to talk about why that's important and a way of doing that. So key number 2 is landing in the body. If you are new here or joining me for the first time, my name is Megan Lockhart. I'm so excited to be offering this series and to be here with you. Please know that anytime in this series, you're always welcome to come to the Wild Moon Sisters Facebook group and to leave any comments or feedback. And I'd love to know how the first video went for you, in which I talked about grounding with the element of earth and creating a relationship with some type of unique face of God or goddess to help you feel held and supported in the third dimension, to surrender into that experience of trust, so that as you come into the deeper layers of your womb awakening journey, that you have something so fifth dimensional to anchor into. So that was the foundation. And today we're here to talk about landing in the body as key number 2. We're going to talk about what I mean by that and how to do it. So what exactly do I mean by land in the body? So I'll break it down a little bit. When I mean land in your body, that insinuates that there's some part of you that's not in your body. So as I experience it, we have a spirit, we have a soul, we have our body, and we are this fifth dimensional, or we are this multi-dimensional being that has 5 layers of self. And the soul resides in the heart. The soul is that original piece that split from the original source sun and is then our own unique flavor, our own unique frequency, and that resides in our heart, in our bodies. And then we have a spirit too, and the spirit isn't bound in the body. It isn't always in the body, and there are varying degrees to which the spirit is embodied. One way of thinking about the spirit would be the higher self. The languaging that I use, sometimes I interchangeably use higher self, spirit. And what I've learned is that the spirit can go other places. It can flee. It likes to be where it feels safe. It likes to be in places where it can be in joy, bliss, peace, harmony. And a lot of times in our bodies and on earth, there is not an environment in which our spirits want to be here. This third dimensional reality can be really hard. It can be chaotic. It can be a wild ride. And our spirits, sometimes if they don't feel safe, or if we've gone through really traumatic experiences, our spirits are going to flee, and it's going to go to their own utopia. I want to tell you a story in which I have experienced calling my spirit back home and what that meant for me and really initiating this womb awakening journey. So I went to see a naturopath to get help and support with candida. I was pretty sure that I had candida and wanted to get it confirmed and wanted to figure out the steps how. Lucky for me, I intuitively found the naturopath who was also a healer in terms of working with energy, and just she knew so much. And we came to realize that one of the reasons that I was experiencing candida is because my spirit was only about 11 or 12% in my body. That was the percentage she gave me, which is pretty low, right? If we think of 100%, that's a really low percentage that my spirit is in my body. And so what does that mean? When the spirit is not in the body, when it's not embodied in your flesh, it means that there's room for parasites, for funguses, for disease, for things to take over. And what happens when we're not in our bodies, and the way that you might experience this, is feelings of dissociation, feelings as if you're in a fog, feeling as if you are depressed or sad or down, lack of motivation, lack of direction, lack of purpose. And when the spirit comes home, and as I've experienced in this session, this healing session I did with my naturopath, I experienced her calling me back into my body. And it wasn't an ornate or extravagant experience, but in that moment, we called back my spirit. We addressed some of the reasons and some of the core traumatic instances in my life that happened for my spirit to want to leave. And in the days that followed, I experienced extreme sadness. I cried for hours, and she told me to expect this. She told me to expect that I would be feeling all sorts of emotions that I wasn't feeling before because I wasn't in my body. I was gone. I was somewhere else. I was floating away. I was floating in the clouds. I was floating in utopia. So then when I came back down and I finally felt all of the things that I didn't want to feel, it was really intense. And I started to see more clearly. I started to feel more at home in my body. I started to find more ways to find healing modalities for myself. And it really was the beginning. I had already found yoga as a spiritual path, but it was the beginning of me finding the divine feminine, the priestess path, and waking up to my womb. And the key part of that was being embodied. And there are so many reasons why a lot of us are not in our bodies. Raise your hand if you've experienced walking around as a zombie. I have. Raise your hand if you've witnessed other people walking around as zombies. Something that I experience sometimes when I'm walking in public is it feels like there's these technology zombies walking around and everyone's looking at their phone, and there's this dissociative experience where you're not quite there with people. And there's a lot of reasons why people don't want to be here in the body, and I'm going to explain some of those reasons. This isn't a be-all, end-all. This is just a really introductory video. Some of the reasons could be that you've gone through trauma, and this could be at any time in your life, from conception in the womb to childhood through your life, any type of trauma, any type of physical pain, any type of emotional pain, any type of spiritual pain, like feeling split, feeling abandoned, any type of experience of dysphoria in the body, any experience of any type of illness, mental health illness, experience of losing functioning in the body, maybe being born with certain things not functioning optimally or looking different. Basically, any experience with the body where it doesn't feel good, or being in this world and being in an environment of chaos, being in an environment of trauma, being in an environment of war, having gone anywhere in your life where maybe things weren't easy, or maybe just where you were born into was a really chaotic environment. All of those things could lead the spirit to not want to be in the body, because here in the body on earth, things can feel really dense. Things can feel really slow, and things can feel really challenging, sometimes really sticky. And the spirit is the most subtle form of ourselves. And for the spirit to want to be in the body needs to be a safe environment. So first, the body needs to be a safe environment. And then second, whatever environment you're in needs to be a safe environment. And so our spirit is home to varying degrees at different times in our life. There could be times where your spirit is really anchored, and then maybe something happened and maybe you experience PTSD or something like that. And then I'm sure if you've experienced that, you've witnessed how you felt degrees of dissociation or degrees of feeling not quite there or not present or not grounded. And so it's this fluctuating situation depending on what's going on in your body and what's going on in the environment around you. And what's amazing, though, is that we can call our spirits home, just like I did. We can every day create an environment in which our souls or in which our spirits want to be in our bodies. And that's why when I do Woman Awakening mentorship with women, that is, we spend a whole session dedicated to calling the spirit back home and going through some of the things as to why the spirit has not wanted to be there, and clear some of those things out so you create this empty vessel so that your body is empty, so that you have more room for you, your fullness, to arrive home in your body. And then, we talk about ways that in your daily life, you can set up a space within you in which your spirit wants to stay home. And that's a really important step, is inviting your spirit home every single day in some way. After I called my spirit back home in that initial healing session with my naturopath, every morning, when I got out of bed, because I was living in a really ungrounded situation where I was between homes, and this was totally my own doing. And anyways, it was feeling a little chaotic for me. So what I would do every morning is I would stand up and I would stand in mountain pose, and I would feel really strong in my body. And I would call my spirit home. I would ask her to be there with me. I would say, Megan, it's time to come home. I'm ready to have you here. I'm strong. I can create this beautiful environment for you to want to be here. So every day I was fostering this relationship with her and asking her to be home. Sometimes when I would leave places, I would look at that place and be like, hey, Megan, it's time to come home now. It's time to come back. And so I was intentionally crafting this relationship where I was calling her home, asking her to come back home into my body. And this has been an ongoing journey, something that I'm still learning every day. I'd be so curious to go back to that naturopath and see if she could tell me what percentage of my spirit is in my body right now. Because as I was saying, I think it can fluctuate, but I can tell you that I feel so much more present. And what happens when we're present, what happens when we're home in our bodies, is we receive the gift of ourselves. Each one of us has unique frequency and unique medicine to offer this world. And when we're totally present and we're totally here, we don't only offer that to ourselves, but we offer that to everyone who we're around. So when you're present and you're anchored in your body, you get to go to the grocery store and you get to look into people's eyes and you get to see them. You get to go be with your family and you get to look at them and you get to see them. And they get to experience you seeing them. Everywhere you walk, with presence, with your spirit in your body, people feel that. People can feel when you are lit up with life, which is your spirit, when you are embodied with your higher self, when you are filled up with presence. When you're filled up with presence, it's like there is a viscosity. And this is the word that I learned from my priestess mentor, Elaine Kalila. And she explains that when you experience somebody being present, you're experiencing the divine, you're experiencing the Great Mother, and you feel this viscosity in the room. I'd love for everyone watching to think about somebody who they feel is really present, really there with them. And when you're with that person, how do they make you feel? What is it like to be around them? I know for me, when I'm around them, I feel more open-hearted. I feel safer to express myself. I feel inspired to deepen into intimacy. I feel nourished, on a soul level. I feel cherished. I feel seen. I feel witnessed. And then so imagine that you yourself are embodying all of those same qualities because you're embodied. And when you're embodied, you get to really embody your unique medicine and your unique gifts, and then you get to offer that to the world. And so just imagine that in your own unique flavor, that as you're moving through your day, this is what I call priestess the paradigm shift, because through your way of being present in your body, you get to enact positive change on earth and help to lift the collective vibration of the collective consciousness. So you calling your spirit home not only elicits deep healing on a physical, emotional, energetic, spiritual, mental level, it also is touching the lives of everyone who comes into contact with you. And it's also creating a ripple and a wave across the whole world, as when you come home into your body and you land, you shift your frequency. Your frequency shifts. And when your frequency shifts, because we are all one, it shifts the frequency of the world. So the gifts that happen is you get to reclaim your power. You get to be home in your body. You get to feel grounded. You get to reclaim your health and start to learn how to listen to your body and its teachings and its medicine, because our bodies are wise. They are so intelligent and they have so many messages. And when we're gone, when our spirits are gone, we can't listen to them. We can't hear the messages. But when we're home, we get to hear all of the unique messages that our bodies are offering about what to eat, about how to behave, about how much sleep to get, about what to wear, about where to work, about everything, about self-care practices, about what brings you pleasure, what brings you joy. And a key piece is, if you're gone, if your spirit's not home, it's quite challenging to listen, because who's there to listen? So each day there's an invitation and opportunity to create this environment, your body, your home, to call your spirit, to ask her to land in your body, and to watch as your life and your health blossoms with such beauty. And sometimes it's painful, right? As I explained that when I first called my spirit back home, that it was painful. But then once you go through the pain, then you get to experience the beauty. And it's such a pivotal step in this womb awakening process, is coming home in the body and then creating rituals every single day that are going to keep you grounded, keep you anchored, because we ultimately want to be rooted in earth, grounded in our bodies, and cosmically connected to the stars. And that's the Holy Trinity, is when we're connected to all of those portals, and we live a really awakened, beautiful, prosperous life when we get to walk through the world in those ways. And because of when we call the spirit back home, that's why I love supporting women in mentorship on individual sessions with this, is because, as I was explaining, sometimes it's really painful to do alone. So I love to hold and support women. And I know I was so grateful when I had that session with my naturopath and I was able to have her there to be with me in that initial, it was almost like a homecoming. It was a homecoming. And that's what I label those sessions, as homecoming sessions, because it really is. It's this homecoming, and it's this beautiful experience that you get to share with somebody in a sacred way, which is really beautiful. And I'm so happy that you tuned in. Please, I would love for you to come, and any questions that you've had, you can come to the Wild Moon Sisters Facebook group and you can share your questions, any insights, anything that you have. And then stay tuned for the next video, which is going to be really exciting too, where we further deepen into another key of embodying the awakened womb. So thank you so much for being here. It's been such a joy, and I wish you such a beautiful day.